and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for August 21st, 2019. SPY up about 0.83. We got a little bit of a shake right there as the FOMC minutes came out. Q's up 0.89. You can see it didn't really make much of an impact on the hourly, which is what we're watching, as well as the daily here. Okay, so if we go over what the numbers are, they're pretty much the same as yesterday. We're still looking at the same resistance level for us to initiate our bullish bias when it breaks over it. Okay, so over this bar from August 13th on the Qs, same with the SPY. I already checked the IWM. It's the same bar there over that. Okay, then we will be bullish. Okay, what would it take for us to be bearish? We're at least 2 setups away. Okay, which means that we would have to not only break yesterday's low and then set up another setup, which would have to prove that there's follow through. The next setup would be where we would initiate a bearish bias. So we would have to kind of break this pivot and then give us another setup, and then we can start talking about being bearish. The more that we base up here, the more bullish. I think I reiterated that on Monday. All right, so as long as we stay up here, then we can initiate a bullish bias when we break out. Okay, so look at this consolidation here. Pretty sloppy. You can see here's the top, here's the bottom. Okay, and it's actually just a microcosm of what's going on the daily here. Right, here's the top, here's the bottom. Pretty sloppy stuff here on the Qs and SPY. A lot of moving around. So I think really what we're setting up for is the next big move. Okay, whether that will be higher or lower, it's looking more like it's going to be higher. Okay, which is why we know what the numbers are for our bullish bias. We don't have a setup yet to initiate our bearish bias. It's possible, I guess, probably very unlikely we get a big gap down, maybe to 181. Say tomorrow something eventful happens and we start there, then yeah, I guess we could say bearish bias, really line in the sand for now, is here. But that's not very likely, but it's possible. So just want to bring this to your attention. Here is the daily consolidation that we have on the Qs and the SPY. We've been basing out sideways, up, down, up, right, testing the ranges here of support and resistance. Okay, but we are basing more towards the top. All right, so that's more bullish. All right, so that's our bias going into tomorrow. We're still neutral until we break out, just like we were on Monday and Tuesday and today. And I think neutral, probably for the last few days, the right place to be. Okay? All right, so let's talk about patience today. Let's talk a little bit about patience, because I think today, if you were in the room, you saw that we had to be pretty patient today. And I could kind of tell that some people were kind of losing that patience, that either you're going to be aggressive, take the play when it sets up, but we just weren't necessarily getting the kind of confirmed entries that we wanted, right? I showed you over the last couple of days, we had some really nice base breakdowns, right, on the FN, right? FN right there. Base out sideways breakdown, right? Very clean, nice tight bars here. We had the GGAL as well. And, we'll play the same thing on breakouts here. Here was the GGAL on Monday. Okay, base breakdown. And we just weren't getting as clean as setups. And what I kind of noticed today, because after the last couple of days, which were a lot busier, that maybe people were starting to get a little bit antsy for more trades and more activities, because I did think today didn't have as good as setups as yesterday, so that resulted in a lot of plays that we kind of passed on. DQ this morning was good. That was our number one gap, but it was very spready. Saw lots of spread on this, so missed out. I'm sure some people played it. There are always going to be plays to be taken. It's just I didn't like how spready it was and didn't like how illiquid it was. Okay, but I thought the direction was clear on that. And so, some of the things that I kind of noticed was, aggressive setups or people kind of missing a play and starting to feel a little bit annoyed about it. that kind of thing. That kind of tells me that kind of people were getting impatient or antsy, right? And AFL was an example here. I remember going over this. I said you can play this under 60. I think it was actually under 59 is the bottom here. You can play it here, but your target is going to be the next support area. If you play it at this point, you can play it to here, okay, around 40, 45. Okay, you can play it to there because we got that double bottom in the way there, showed us some support. And so I think what I was seeing, so then we got this, it triggered, I said, okay, it's underway. I'm not playing it. I think it's a little bit aggressive, and it's a small target one. And then I think, after seeing all these bars down, someone was starting to think, well, I really missed it. Can I just get in under 48? Is that okay? And I think that was a little bit kind of feeling like I don't want to miss the play. And we have to be very careful about that because getting in late is the difference often for a winning play and a losing play. So you can see this looks good lower. We liked the gap. We thought the gap was pretty powerful there, breaking underneath support, starting to break down on the weekly as well. So it's not that I don't like it bearish anymore when I said that, no, I don't want to play it under 48 because you're too close to support and it's late. But it's because it's the difference between a winning play and losing play. So what happened, right? If you played it under 48, okay, as it broke down there, all you saw was a rally against you. Now, if you used a big enough stop and this doesn't make you too nervous, you're going to stick with it, then you ended up with a nice play. But what I was saying was let it show you a rally and then go after it. So I know some people in the afternoon here went after the AFL right later. And so the difference, I think, between a winning play and a losing play on this AFL was timing, as is the case a lot of the time, right? And we just can't let being impatient get the best of us. And the reason I want to go over it today is not just because it's relevant to today, is that I think it'll be relevant for the next few weeks, right? Because we're winding down earnings season, right? And so there's going to be a lot less flurry of activity around the opening hour, okay? So being picky, I think, is good, but also just knowing that you may kind of start to feel impatient and feel like you're missing out, and that can push you to be overly aggressive, okay? So I wanted to give another example here, let's say on the C-Day, right? C-Day was called. Now this didn't end up working for very much, okay? But again, the difference between, because this was played as it broke out over the base, okay? Say you weren't sure about this C-Day, okay? I think we've all been there. We're not sure. And then we see that it broke out and it held, because you're maybe worried that it's going to break out and come right back down. And then you see that it held, and you say, okay, well maybe then I'll just join over 35, right? And so the difference of being able to get some out at 35 for profit versus getting in, having it move up and get you in, and then only seeing it come back down is the difference between getting it when you're supposed to or hesitating and then getting impatient or feeling like you don't want to miss out and then getting it late, right? So timing is everything, right? In this case, this for me was a bit of a break-even trade because I did let it, I didn't take any on that first move up. I wanted to see if it would work out a little bit better and ended up trailing. So if you managed it with the room, then you got a little bit out on this. It wasn't a big play, very small play. But again, if you're hesitating or getting impatient, getting it at the wrong place, right, makes all the difference. All right, and same thing here we saw on the MSGN. I initially called this MSGN to be played as it broke here and never ended up breaking, rallied instead, had a bit of an aggressive entry here, right, as it was kind of rallying up into resistance. I'd rather play it as it breaks the lows, right? Again, if you don't play it at the right spot, okay, and it's not that you can't make money shorting this, then you're left with a losing play versus a winning play. And that's always frustrating. You look at this bar on the daily, and you say, how could I have possibly lost money shorting this, right? And it's really, for experienced traders, it's maybe not as frustrating. But I think especially starting out, you're looking at this, you say, this is what the daily looks like. I must be the only person who lost money shorting this, right? And that's because timing matters, the setup matters, right? In this case, it came in and broke the base, but where did it come from? It already rewarded the aggressive players, right? So I think on a day like today, Either do the aggressive plays, or if you're going to be patient, don't let missing out get the better of you. Okay, does that make sense? All right. Let the plays come to you. If this is your favorite MSGN, which I think there's a lot of justification for, because that is a very bearish looking weekly, right? Transitioning there. And same with the AFL. Those were very nice, impactful changes there on the longer time frames. Then go for the aggressive entry. If you're gonna wait and try to wait for the ideal entry or the more secure setup, you just can't get impatient with it. Okay. So I don't think it was necessarily the easiest day. There's always going to be things that worked out really well. We were aware of the DQ and aware of the CRE. I think those were from the get-go, from the open, our favorites. CRE also very, very spready. So it's kind of tough, a little bit unfortunate that these kind of best setups, our favorite setups there, were pretty wild. But as we kind of move forward out of the bulk of earnings season, we're going to see a lot more thin things and a lot more thin things will get more attention and set up on the list. So it's just a matter of knowing how much risk you're willing to tolerate, how much spread you're willing to tolerate in relation to the spread or in relation to the size of the stop. Okay. And then trading accordingly. So as always, managing risk appropriately. Okay, so I thought it was kind of a good thing to get a day like today. We got a lot more time and chance to answer questions. Last couple days, especially if you were in the room at the open yesterday, it wasn't really easy to go through the questions because there are a lot of plays coming up, a lot of setups, not all of them triggering, of course, but just a lot to kind of analyze in the morning. And so something like today, which I thought was a very much slower day, gave us a chance to really kind of go over some questions, go over talking about entry patterns and strategies. We'll see if that's the case the next couple days. Don't really have, maybe with FOMC out of the way, we'll get some nicer setups and some better gaps and things. We'll see though. But I think overall, and I mentioned this in the room, I think it's been a good pace for this week. We've had some days where there's quite a few plays called, and then today just a couple. So a good pace to be able to answer some questions, but also to display the methodology in real time. Okay, so just a couple more days here of open house for you to check out. And then there's also a discount that is running just for this week for the open house attendees. So just a couple days, if you'd like to check it out, take advantage of the additional scanning, the ideas, and the plays. I've been seeing people new to trading take advantage of it by asking questions, and experienced traders who are, full-time, multi-year experienced traders, just using the ideas, the additional scanning to kind of make the most out of their days as well. So I think there's a lot to be offered no matter your experience level. Okay, so there is a link in the description that'll get you registered if you'd like to try it out. It's free. Otherwise, hope to see you in the room tomorrow, and we'll pick up the market wrap tomorrow afternoon. We'll see what the market brings us, and I will talk to you then. Okay, have a good evening.